Here in about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'll start liquidating the biggest animals. And so the whole idea is right now is that I'm gonna sell 5 every month. Okay, I got the animals pretty much spread out so that I can sell 5 every month. I can average selling about 5 every month. Okay. And so right now, with 35 cattle and the 7 groups of animals, right? I got them at 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. The amount of the money that I make. So the check in my hand. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's go through this idea of what I got going on. So if I sell 5 animals, okay? If I sell 5 animals and I make enough money to buy, let's say I make enough money to buy 10, okay? I use some money and let's just say I make enough money to buy 10. And so I sold 5 and I made enough money to buy 10. It would probably be closer to 11, but let's just say 10 because let's say that whatever. And right now my expenses are so low that, and I've even said the whole thing about grain, and technically it does cost me money, but the thing about grain is that if I did not feed the animals grain, I would not be putting on this much weight on the animal. And I feed a very small amount of grain. Okay, maybe I feed like $350 worth of grain on a monthly basis. Okay, maybe like 350, maybe 350, maybe $500 worth of grain on a monthly basis. But I only feed the animal enough to get a positive return on the grain. Okay. I feed the animal probably 85% of their diet on the grass. Oh, and I've spoken about the whole thing about grass and the thing about equipment. And the thing about grass is that I don't need any equipment to harvest grass. And for me to get somewhat of an optimal level of biomass accumulation, plants like corn, when you got a plant that needs to really thrive and to put on a proper seed. Right, that corn, when you got a piece of corn, that corn is the seed of the corn plant. Okay, grain is just the seed of a plant. Okay, so that corn is just the seed of the plant. And to get a fully developed corn plant, and to get a proper seed development, to get the seed to develop properly, the growing conditions need to be somewhat optimal year round, or the seeds will shrivel up. The seeds will not develop properly. The bushels that you get per acre will be very small, and etc. Okay, so but grass, it doesn't really matter. Okay, the grass, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to be super concerned about making sure that the grass is doing whatever. You don't have to make sure that the grass is doing optimally all the time. Because as long as there is somewhat of a, you don't want to be in a situation where you have absolutely zero grass, like your animals are scalping your land. If your grass is like less than 1 inch tall, that's not good. Okay, that's not good. If your grass is less than 3 inches tall, that's not good. If you also have a bunch of grass on the other side, if you have a bunch of grass that's like gone to seed and it's like 3-4 feet tall, that's not good either. Okay, that's not good either. The feed values of that are going to be very low. Like when you take a look at my grass here, my grass is maybe 4 or 5 inches tall, and I have 50 acres of it, and I only have 23 animals on it. So I have 2 acres of grass per animal. The animals, when you take a look at them, they're obviously very full, so they're obviously filling their rumen. Okay, and I do check their manure on a daily basis, and I supplement their grass. They are getting about 85% of their diet on this grass, and I supplement them with a little bit of grain. Okay, I give them a little bit of grain, and they're conditioning properly. The animals are plump, the animals are fat, and they're doing well. Okay, and so the animals are at the animals that are going to market will be at a body conditioning score of about 6. So the animals are doing well, they're gaining properly, and the grass is maybe 4 or 5 inches tall. And if the grass looks like this, I fertilized the grass about a week or two ago. About a week and a half ago, I fertilized the grass, and I also herbicided it. And the herbicide is starting to kick in. And as long Duracor, from what I understand, as long as it gets rain on it, as long as it gets about a 1/4 inch of rain on it after the application, as long as it gets about a 1/4 inch of rain on it, the Duracore will actually stay in the soil for about 2 months. And it may not be herbiciding, it may not be killing the plant right now, but the next time that it rains, the Duracore will reactivate, and it will start to kill the weeds. But it's very important, from my understanding, it is very important to get that 1/4 inch of rain within 24 hours of applicating the Duracore, or it will not go into the soil, and then it'll just I don't know what happens, it off gases or something. When you're utilizing it as fertilizer, it's very important to get a 1/4 inch of rain after the application. And but once it rains and that Duracore is sitting in the soil, it will sit in the soil for about 2 months. And so so that's I herbicided the field and I fertilized it at the same time. So with the balance sheet right now, okay, so I got 35 animals, and I got 5 animals going to market every single month, and they are looking good, okay. So what's going to happen when I sell my 5 animals is I'm effectively going to make enough money to buy 10 or 11, okay? And the grass and whatever, I understand it costs me money. When it comes down to it, though, granted that I do a good job growing the grass, and if the feeder cattle market does go down, then I can actually hedge my investment by growing more hay, and so et cetera, et cetera. I don't really think about I think about grass and grain as its own investment, okay. As its own separate investment. I think about the cattle as their own separate investment, and when it boils down to it, it doesn't even matter, okay. The amount of money that it costs to grow grass and the amount of money that it costs to buy grain. First of all, the grain makes me a positive return, and the grass, it's just such a small amount of money, it doesn't matter, okay. It's borderline negligible. And this is what I mean. So let's say I sell 5 animals, and let's just say I make enough money to buy 10 or 11. Okay, let's just say whatever, 10 or 11, and I still have 30 animals, right? I sold 5 out of my 35, so that leaves me with 30 animals. Those 30 animals will produce me about 6 cents, will produce me about 6 pennies worth of cattle, right? Over the month. And so in this situation, I sold 5, I made enough money to buy 11, but I need to buy 17. Okay, and that would just keep my my leverage at effectively the same amount. And one of the big problems that I'm having right now is that if I just reinvest my earnings over the next 3 months, and at 800 pounds, if I even just raised the animals that I have right now to 800 pounds and liquidated them, I would honestly be at about 50% debt. Okay, I would be at about 50%. But over the next 3 months, I would realistically anticipate that I liquidate about five cattle a month, okay? And so if I'm liquidating 5 cattle a month and I make enough money to buy 11 or 10 or whatever, then the proportion of equity that I have on my balance sheet will actually go higher than 50%, okay? It'll probably go up to about 70% or more, okay? The amount of debt that I have on my balance sheet in terms of a ratio towards my equity would be about 30% or less. And so that's one of the big problems that I'm having right now. And the way that I'm looking into solving this problem is to sell 5 and buy 25. But here's the thing. Right now, my animals are evenly distributed across my herd, right? My animals are evenly distributed across my herd. I effectively have 5 animals ready to go for market every single month, okay? But the thing is if I sell 5 and I buy, let's say I sell 5 and I buy 10 or 15. Now, I end up in a situation where I have 15 animals on the very front end of the herd, okay? It's no longer that I have 5 animals ready to go for market every single month. It is now that I have 15 animals sitting on the front end of the herd, okay? And I have 10 or 15 animals sitting on the front end of the herd. And so this is also the big idea of reinvesting the earnings, and that this is going to get pretty gnarly pretty fast. I will need a better preconditioning system. I'll have to figure out what I need to do to get myself preconditioning more animals at the same time. And the big solution to the problem is I'm looking to buy myself more land, okay? I figured if I buy myself more land and I build out a preconditioning system, a new preconditioning system, I can build something out that will allow me to precondition many more cattle at the same time, which will solve the issue of me having to dump money into the front end of the cattle herd. Because when I put money in the business, I buy the small animals and then I raise them to be big, right? I buy them small and then I take care of I buy them at effectively 225 pounds, and I sell them at about 900 pounds, okay? And so when I sell my animals, when I sell my big animals and I reinvest the money, that money gets dumped into the front end of the cattle herd, okay? And the thing about the and so that will unevenly distribute my animals, and this will happen all the time. So those 15 animals, let's say I sell 5 and I buy 15. Let's say I sell 5 and I buy 10. Let's just say 15, okay? Because realistically in 3 months, it's going to be about like sell 5 and buy 25, okay? Because the thing is, over the next 3 months, if I sell 15 animals, and if I sell 15 and I buy 30 or I buy 45, those 30 or 45 animals over the next 2-3 months, 2 months, 3 months, right? I'll stagger them out, will produce me a return, okay? And then I will have to leverage against that return as well. And the big idea here is in about 3 months, I will be going to the bank and I will be redoing my loans. And when I redo my loans, I will discuss with the banker on how much money am I looking to borrow. And I realistically, I would like to borrow about $2.5 million. $1.5 to $2.5 million. I would be looking for about $1 million to $2 million worth of land. I would be looking for the bank to lend me about $1 million or $2 million worth of land, and I would also be looking for the bank to lend me about $500,000, maybe about $250,000 for cattle, something like that, 350 grand for cattle. So I'm realistically looking for about $1.5 million to $2.5 million. $1 million to $2 million I'm looking for real estate, and about $250,000 to about $500,000 I'm looking to have for cattle, okay? That's the big idea. And if I have that, when I have that money, I can grow my business for the next year and not be concerned about it. And my whole thing about not losing sleep over it, and et cetera, not losing sleep over it, and if I have 250 cattle worth of my own money and I have 200 cattle worth of the bank's money, I'm not concerned about it, because even if all 200 cattle that the bank lent me money for dropped dead instantaneously, I could still pay the bank back with my own money, and I would still have 50 animals worth of money left over, right? I'm not concerned about it. I don't lose sleep over it. I didn't sell my soul to the devil for it. I just, this is, I run a business, and I figure that is the most reasonable way for me to do it. And that's my reasoning, right? If I have 200 cattle that the bank lent me money for, and I have 250 cattle of my own money, even if all 200 animals that the bank lent me money for dropped dead instantaneously, I could still pay the bank back with my own money, and I would still have 50 cattle worth of money left over, right? That's the big idea. And I don't lose sleep over it, okay? It's not like I didn't YOLO. I didn't do something ridiculous. I didn't sell my soul to the devil. I wasn't like scheming up something. I wasn't like I wasn't looking to like have some worthless scheme or nothing, okay? That's just how I've logically deduced what I'm going to do, right? And so that's how I run my business, okay? I effectively keep myself at an 80% leverage, and I'm not concerned about it, okay? If my whole thing is like, if I ever start losing sleep about it, then it's whatever. Then, I can always just give up what I'm doing and then just go back to running 200 cattle a year, and I can call it a day. All right. I can go back to running 150 cattle a year, and that's still enough money for me to live comfortably. I'm not concerned about it. If that's what it boils down to, if I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I got 450 animals, and if I sell these and I take the money and I reinvest it and I buy another 700, then I buy another 850, 900 cattle, then I'll be running 1,200 cattle for the year, and oh my God, I can't do it. My panties are in a wad. Then I'll just go back to running 150, 200 cattle a year. Okay. I'm not concerned about it. I figured I might as well go for it, right? I might as well go for it because it is what it is, okay? I'm not, I'm going to go for it, and if it turns out that I can't do it, then I'll just go back to running 150, 200 cattle a year. I'm not worried about it, okay? I didn't sell my soul to the devil for it. I didn't throw a Hail Mary into the middle of nowhere. I didn't go on a magical journey. I didn't, I'm not YOLOing. I'm not selling my soul to the devil. I'm not like, scheming anything. I don't want anything from anybody. I don't know how else to put this. I don't care if you died. All right, if you know, like, if you know, I don't care if you died. All right, I don't want you to die. I don't care if you died though. Okay, it's just, I don't want anything from anybody. All right, I'm not selling my soul to the devil. All right, I run beef cattle. It's a very good business. And I'm not gonna say it's what does good business mean? It's a very stable business. The beef cattle, I'm effectively just a commodity add. I'm just a value add commodity trader, right? I trade commodities, and commodities are a global asset. It's a very stable business. And when I take a look at the business and when I take a look at the monetary situation, I reasonably believe that over the course of my life, the price of beef will go up. It may not go up all the time, but over the course of my life, in 50 years, the price of beef will probably be higher than it is today. That's what I reasonably anticipate, okay? And so, with the reinvestment of capital, the front end of the cattle herd will become larger faster, okay? Than the back end of the animal, than the back end of the herd. And so the big idea is within 7 months. So I will start reinvesting the money that I make. I realistically anticipate that I'll have animals ready for market here in about 3 weeks, okay? And when I start reinvesting the animals, I'll effectively be selling 5 and buying 10 or buying 15. I'll have to take a look at it. Right now, the big bottleneck in the business is the preconditioning space, okay? I'll be selling 5, buying 10, selling 5, buying 15. And the big thing is in 3 months, I'll be looking to redo my loans, okay? And when I redo my loans, I'm also looking to buy more land. But also, when I redo my loans and I start investing with debt, I will also start leveraging, systematically leveraging against pool number 2. I will do everything that I can to reinvest all of the profits that I make back into the business. And when I do that, it will increase the amount of equity in terms of proportion to my debt on my balance sheet. And I will have to leverage against that as well to keep my balance sheet at an 80% leverage, right? If I make a profit and I reinvest that money back into my business, that's going to raise the amount of equity that I have in terms of a proportion, right? It will increase the proportion of equity that I have on my balance sheet. Why? Because when I sell an 800-pound animal, I make a profit. All right, I make a profit. All right, when I sell an 800-pound animal, I effectively make enough money to buy 2 to 2.25. I make enough money to buy about 225-pound animals, okay? And it does not cost me. Let's say I go to the sale barn and I sell an 800-pound animal and I make $2,700, $2,600. It did not cost me $2,600 to make that $2,600. All right, it did not. It did not cost me $2,700 to make the $2,700. Okay, and so when I reinvest the profits, I can buy more animals, right? I can buy more animals than I sold, and that increases the size of my herd, right? That increases the amount of money that I've put in the business. That increases the amount of money that I make on a monthly basis. Okay. And so what I'm looking at here is within 7 months, I will have sold all my animals and I will have reinvested all my money, and I will have leveraged against my balance sheet. Okay. And so effectively what's going to happen is the unrealized gain, the amount of money that is being produced by my herd that is not a check in my hand will go up every single month. But also in 7 months, the big idea is that in 7 months, the amount of money that I make, pool number 3 will also be increasing on a monthly basis as well. So it's not just going to be pool number 2. Pool number 3 will also be increasing on a monthly basis as well. And the reason for that is because if I start investing, let's say I sell 5 and I buy 10. Let's say I sell 5 and I buy 15, right? Let's say I do that for the next 3 months. I sell 5 and I buy 10. I sell 5 and I buy 12, whatever, okay? I will, and then in 3 months, I redo my loans. And so I take a look at my herd and I say, well, I sold 5 and I bought 10. I sold 5 and I bought 15, something like that, okay? I do have a little bit of debt that I can use. I can probably buy about 10 animals on debt before I run out of money, okay? And this is also why I'm looking to redo my loans, because I will be, I'm not out of money yet, but in terms of credit, I'm not out, but it's getting pretty close. I can maybe buy 10 more animals on credit, okay? And but it won't matter if I can't precondition them. So let's just say I sell 5 and I buy let's say I sell 5 and I buy 10. Let's just give it a conservative estimate. So I sold 5 and I bought 10, and I did that for the next 3 months. Those 10 animals, the first set of 10 animals that I sold would have made me 6 pennies, right? The second set would have made me 4 pennies. Six, what would it be? It'd be a 6. No, it'd be a 0, 2, and 4. It'd be 0, 2, and 4. So the first set of 15 animals would have made me 4 pennies. The second set of animals would have made me 2 pennies. And then the first set of animals would have made me, I would have just bought those animals, right? So it'd be a 6 pennies sitting on the first 3 set of animals, right? It'd be 6 pennies of unrealized gain sitting on the front end of on the first 3 set of cattle on the front end of the cattle herd. But there's also 30 cattle, right? Because I sold 5 and I bought 10. And I did that 3 times. And if I do that 3 times, I will be able to do that with using 0 leverage. I will be able to just sell my animals and take that profit and buy new ones, okay? And if I do that, my leverage will be at 30% or less. The amount of leverage that I have on my balance sheet will be about 30% or less. So in this situation, the 30 animals, I would leverage against all 30 animals as well, right? So I have 30 animals. And now on the other end of the cattle herd, I have the check in my hand, which is about 14 grand, right? I just sold 5 800-pound animals. It's about, $12,000 to $14,000. And then I have another 3 set of animals, and those 3 set of animals would be 5 animals each, so that'd be 15 animals. And I would also have another 3 pennies on them. So that's 15 plus 3, that's 18, plus the 15. So it'd be 15 for the 3 set of animals on the front end, 3 pennies off of them, so that'd be 18. And then I have the check in my hand. That's about 11, right? 6 pennies. So that's about and plus a nickel, so that's 11. So that's 29. Plus 6 would be 35. Plus 30 would be 65. So I would have 65 animals worth of money. I may only have but it would be more than that. It would have to be more than that, because if I had 50 animals, I mean, there's got to be more than 15 pennies worth of unrealized gain. But long story short, let's say that I have 70 cents, 75 cents worth of cattle, right? I have 75 cattle worth of money. And the value of an animal to me is the 225-pound animal, because I buy them at 225 pounds, and then I raise them to about 800-900 pounds, and then I sell them, right? And the value of a cattle is the same all the time. On the back end, I may have sold 5 cattle, but I made enough money to buy 10, okay, because I made a profit. And so I may have 50 cattle, but in terms of a numerical value for how many animals, could I buy if I sold all of them, it's realistically going to be closer to about 75 animals worth of money, right? And so if I'm at 30% leverage, right? If I'm at 30% leverage, then I have 75 cattle, I have 50 cattle and they're worth 75 cattle worth of money, and I'm at 30% leverage. Right, the 50 cattle, they're all effectively, maybe, out of the 50, maybe I have out of the 60 cattle. Oh, that's what it is. I would end up with 60 cattle. I would end up with 60 cattle, but they would probably be worth about 90 cattle worth of money, or something like that. Okay, and I don't want to make this confusing, because it's not. My whole thing is, when I bring in animals, I bring them in small and then I sell them big. Okay, and when I sell them big, I make a profit. That's the long story. Long story short, it's that simple. I bring them in small, I sell them big, I make a profit when I sell them big. I don't buy them big. All right, I buy them small. Okay, and so if I have 30% leverage and I'm sitting there with 60 cattle, 50 cattle, and I'm like, you know what, out of these 50 cattle, out of these 60 cattle, it'd be like 70, 75 cattle, right? Out of these 75 cattle, 10 to 15 of them are kind of, I'm not willing to leverage against them, because I just brought them in and I don't know what's going to happen. And my whole thing is that when I run my business like this, the animals that are stable, they produce. The whole thing is the reason that I want to do this is and not dump all of my money in at the business at the same time is because the animals that are stable produce a return for me, and that is the safety buffer for me leveraging money, or not for me leveraging money. That is the safety buffer for me risking money, right? Whenever I go to the sale barn and I buy new animals and I bring them home, I am risking money. All right, until they are preconditioned and well-to-do and they're doing okay, they're effectively just going to be high-risk animals. Okay, it takes me about a month or two to get the animal completely squared away and a good clean bill of health. Okay, and so but the rest of the animals are producing me a return, and when the animals produce me a return, that stabilizes my business. That produces stability for my business. Okay, and then that's when I risk money. All right, and so it's a multi-dimensional thing. Okay, I use the unrealized gains to have stability for my business. But the thing about the unrealized gain right now is that if I sell 5 and I buy 10, it will start disproportionately adding animals to the front end of the cattle herd. Okay, and if I sell 5 and I only buy 10 and I do that for the next 3 months, I will end up in a situation where the amount of leverage that I have on my balance sheet in terms of the proportion to my debt will be about 30%. Let me move my truck a little bit so that the cattle are swarming me. And so it will produce it will be a stability for my balance sheet. Okay, it will be a stability for my balance sheet. Give me 1 second. Let me move this truck a little bit so that the cattle can get their little spot. They always want the spot that I'm in. I try and get out the way and they just swarm my truck. Okay, but yeah, the unrealized gain in the cattle herd, that produces stability for me risking capital. Okay, because anytime I go to the sale barn and I buy new cattle, I'm risking money. Okay, it's a risk. I'm taking a risk. You don't know what you're getting, right? And when it boils down to it, 225-pound cattle are just about the hardest thing that you could ever raise. Okay, if you're gonna go to the sale barn and buy a bunch of 225-pound cattle one at a time, that's a very, very, very difficult thing to do. Okay, it's not easy. And so the beginning of next year, I will be leveraging for more money. I will be going to the bank to take a loan for more money. Okay, and I'm looking to take a loan for about $1.5 million to $2.5 million. That'll be enough money for me to start growing my business at the rate that I'm looking to achieve. And the whole thing about my business is that I'm not throwing a Hail Mary into the middle of nowhere. Okay, I'm not YOLOing anything. I'm not going on a magical journey. All right, I'm in the cattle business. It's a beef business. It's a very stable asset. Okay, it's a very stable asset and it's a good business. Within 7 months, but realistically, every single month that goes by, my income will be going upwards. And I may not be realizing the gains for the next 7 months, but when I realize the gains in 7 months, the amount of money that I make in pool number 3 will also increase on a monthly basis. It will, because I will go from selling if I keep reinvesting more money into the front end of the cattle herd and I leverage against the earnings and I put that money back, or I leverage against the earnings and the unrealized gains on the cattle that I still have, the money will get put on the front end of the cattle herd. Okay, and that will increase my unrealized gains on a monthly basis. But once that money has ran through the business, I will also be increasing the amount of money that I make on a monthly basis in pool number 3. Granted that I am committed to the business and I continue to grow the business. Okay, granted that I actually just keep working on my business. This is bound to happen. And my whole thing about it is, if I ever get into a situation where I'm like, I can't do this, right? This is getting to be too much. I don't think I can handle this many cattle. I can always come back to running 150, 200 cattle a year, and then until I figure it out. Okay, I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned about it. I am gonna go for it. Okay, why would I not go for it? Okay, the amount of money that I make, it's already enough money. I mean, realistically, here in about 7 months, I will be making myself about even right now, the money that I make on a monthly basis will go upwards every single month. It will, even if all I do is reinvest the money back into my business, okay? It will still increase the amount of money that I'm making on a monthly basis simply because the size of my herd will be growing, all right? And so, I already make enough money to where it doesn't matter. I don't know how else to put it. Nobody's paying me to do anything. Honest to God, all right? Nobody's paying me to do anything. I don't care if you died. Don't offer me your money. I don't want money from anybody. Trust me. I'm not asking for money from anybody. I don't want money from anybody. I don't care if you died. All right? If you're legitimately, oh my God, this guy must want money, throw yourself into a hole. I've already, the whole thing about it, the whole thing about the business and everything is, where do you think your beef comes from, you idiot? All right? Somebody's got to do it. And the money, it's whatever to me. I make money simply because I run 150, 200 cattle on a yearly basis, and I will probably make more money if I run 1,000. I probably will. But the money's whatever. All right? You have to understand, I've always said that money, when you think about it in terms of a fundamental idea, money is negligible. Right? I've talked about, and the whole idea of like, the look at my house and look at my car people. Right? The whole idea of desperately needing money, right? When you think about these things, it opens your mind to think about the fundamental idea of money. Money's a piece of paper. It doesn't do anything. All right. Money's a piece of paper. It does not do anything. After a certain point, it's not like, having more money is going to do anything, okay? Granted that you actually, if you have something that you're looking to do with the money, then sure, it will do something. But if you legitimately think that your life is going to be better simply because you have $10 million, that's a lie. That's not true. A lot of people are better off without money. A lot of people, if you gave them $10 million, first of all, if we gave everybody $10 million, $10 million wouldn't be worth anything. All right, people would be burning that money on the street to keep warm, okay? It wouldn't be worth anything, first of all. And let's just say, how many people do you know that win the lottery and go off to live a magical life, right? It doesn't happen, okay? Hardly ever, all right? There's a very real chance that if you had $10 million, you would just immediately kick yourself in the dick repeatedly until the day you died, all right? Or you lost it all, right? That's probably what would happen. All right, there's a very real possibility of that. And that's the whole thing about, earning money and learning to earn money and going through hardship is that it's good for you. All right, it's good for you. It builds your character. All right, don't worry about it. Either you make it or you don't. Fake it till you make it is a joke. All right. When it boils down to it, I actually make money in the cattle business. I'm not a YouTuber. YouTube isn't going to, I don't care if YouTube offered me $100,000 a month. It doesn't mean anything to me. Nobody's paying me to do anything. I don't care if you died. All right. If I legitimately was in a situation where I was like, oh my God, I need more money, which is stupid. I don't ever think about, oh my God, I need more money. If you ever, and this is a very interesting, way to look at it, right? A fundamental idea. The idea of, oh my God, I need more money. The only people that legitimately think that they need more money are the people having major problems. I guarantee it. Guarantee it, all right? And a good example to look at this on a very large scale. So I was watching an interview on Warren Buffett on the great financial crisis in 2008. And he was, I think the Lehman Brothers actually offered to sell their business, was actually looking for a cash offer from Warren Buffett, and they were calling around and going, I need billions, tens of billions of dollars today, or I'm going bankrupt. That's a very realistic way of looking at I desperately need money on a very large scale. And the fundamental idea of desperately needing money, I guarantee it, if you ever desperately need money, that is a sign that you're an idiot. It doesn't matter how much money we're talking about. It could be $500. It could be $50 billion. It doesn't matter. If some, like, this is one of the things that, like, if I ever have a conversation with somebody and they ever need money, that to me is a very bad sign. That's a very bad sign. I mean, this individual must be kicking themselves in the dick all the time. Why do you need money? Nobody needs money, right? I mean, I'm not going to say nobody needs money. If you were doing even just roughly decent, you wouldn't need money. Why do you need money? That's very not good. And my thing is, I don't care if you died. I'm not asking for money from anybody. Don't offer me your money. Trust me, I don't care. You can take your money, you can hold on to it and throw yourself into a hole. If I legitimately felt like I needed more money, oh my God, I need more money, which I don't think about. If I did that, if I thought about that, I would just run more cattle. I would just farm more land. In realistic terms, I already make enough money to not worry about money. I'm not concerned about money. The whole thing about, oh my God, I need more money. It's a waste of time. Why, I have more important things to think about than, oh my God, I need money. All right. What kind of a preconditioning space am I looking to build? How much money am I looking to get from the bank as a loan? How many cattle am I looking to run? Right. That's the kind of stuff that I think about. How much land am I looking to buy? I don't sit there and just go, oh my God, I need more money. That's ridiculous. All right. I already make enough money to do effectively anything. I would very, very, very reasonably anticipate that within 7 months, the amount I will be making over $80,000 a month. I will be making over $90,000 a month, something like that, in about 7 months. I would very reasonably anticipate that it is what happens. And I'm not doing it because I need money. Honest to God, God knows it. I'm being complete. I'm not doing this because I want the money. I'm not doing this because I need the money. I'm doing it because more or less I'm looking to challenge myself. If I sat here and ran 150, 200 cattle a year for the rest of my life, I could live a perfectly decent life and not worry about it. I figured I might as well try. All right. And when it comes down to it, beef does not just show up on the grocery store shelf. And also, when it comes down to it, I do very well. I do extremely well. My results are borderline like, what in the world? I legitimately managed to achieve like commercial standards in a backyard by myself with very little money. I have a truck and a tractor. That's about it. And I can legitimately grow I can legitimately raise 100, realistically, I could probably even, I'm going for about 1,000 next year. And I can do, and 150, 200 a year was absolutely zero problems for me. I didn't have any issues with it. It was not difficult. It wasn't complicated, nothing. All right. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't hard for me to do. And so, that's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it because I need money. The fundamental idea of needing money, that's a very bad sign. Why do you need money, right? Why are you in a situation where you desperately need money? I mean, you should, think about making money. Don't sit there and, don't sit, why are you in a situation where you need money? That's a very bad sign, right? Go out and think about something else, right? Think about something more productive and the money will take care of itself, right? I mean, you must be in a very bad spot if you need money. I don't need money. But that word need, it's like, what does that even mean, right? Like, if I'm looking to run more cattle, then sure, I need more money, right? I'm not looking to, it's kind of a complicated thing, I suppose. But I'm not doing it because I want more money. I'm not doing it because I need more money. I will end up making more money simply because I will be running more cattle. And when it boils down to it, where do you think the beef comes from? Beef does not just magically appear on a grocery store shelf. And also, when it boils down to it, I do very well. I'm very good at this. Like I am extremely good at running cattle and farming, ranching and farming cattle. I'm very good at it, extremely good at it. It's borderline a what in the world type situation that I managed to do all of this in a backyard by myself. That's borderline like what in the world. With very minimal money and very minimal equipment, I managed to do all of this by myself. That is a major what in the world type situation. I effectively managed to outperform almost the entire US economy by myself. That's effectively what happened. All right, I'm not talking about like the major corporations and stuff, like Tesla and but I'm talking about like in terms of like legitimately just making doing well for myself. I legitimately managed to like outperform the entire U.S. economy. Starting myself a cattle business in my backyard. That is what I managed to do. That is a borderline what in the world type situation. All right. And I feel like I have a moral obligation to do my best and keep working. I honestly do. I wouldn't have made it without God. Okay? I would not have made it without God. That's that's my belief system. And I'm not going to turn away from it. I feel like if I underperform, if I don't get after it on a daily basis, then I feel like I am turning my back on God. All right? I do very well for myself. It is what it is. I couldn't have made it without God, though. Okay, and I do very well for myself.